Good afternoon, everybody. Today is Saturday, July 17, 2021, and welcome to the Cancer Season episode of the Soulistic Wellness Philadelphia podcast. My name is Tishka Smith. I am the owner of Truthseeker Astrology. You can find me at truthseekerastrology.com. I'm a Western astrologer, intuitive astrologer, and I work with individuals and couples, providing a range of readings and services, both astrological and tarot card readings. And I'm glad to be here with you today. And we're going to be getting into health and wellness issues related to cancers, Cancer Sun, Cancer Moon, Cancer Rising individuals, of which I am one. And in honor of Cancer season, I'm wearing silver. The color silver is one of the colors of the moon. So I'm wearing my silver nail polish. I've got my silver jewelry on, and shout out to all the cancers out there. We are winding down Cancer season. Leo season kicks off next week on July 22nd, which happens to be the fourth year that Truthseeker Astrology has been in business. I began my practice on July 22nd, 2017, after many years of study and practice. Practice on my family, friends, anybody who I could read a chart for. I did it. And my studies go back to 2008 when I was living in New York City. So I'm glad to be here today to talk to you guys about Cancer, the challenges that Cancer has related to the areas that the moon and the sign Cancer rules. And I am happy to be here tonight with my co-host, vegan chef Callie.
Hello, everybody. Hey.
Good.
How's everybody?
So we are going to get into it tonight. Before we kick off my little monologue about Cancer, tell us where you're at, who you are, Callie, and all that good stuff for the audience.
So I am vegan chef Callie. I am a practicing holistic nutrition vegan chef, meal prep chef, and I do personal and private meal preps, juices, smoothies, and other goodies. And so I am West Philly based, right here in West Philly in the Clark Park area. And I've been doing this since 2017. And that's when I started my vegan life journey into making better health and food choices for my mind, body, and spirit wellness. And so here to pass it along to others and help them also starting the journey of getting that holistic wellness going on, which we all know starts with food. So I'm here to help you. And we can have consultation. I have an IG Instagram page, which is at Vegan Chef Callie. And I have a website. My website is www.eattothrive.life. That is the word eat, EAT, number 2, thrive.life. And I am also veganchefcallie@gmail.com. And they can get all of my information on my Instagram page, as well as booking consultations with me.
All right, so we got all those links in the description box on this particular YouTube stream. So those of you who are watching live can look down below in the description box for all the links to Vegan Chef Callie's social media platforms. And mines are there as well. Like I said earlier, my website is www.truthseekerastrology.com. You can also book private sessions with me via Zoom at book.truthseekerastrology.com. And you can also book with me on Facebook and on Instagram. There are ways to do that online. Or if you're old-fashioned, like many of my clients are, they like to engage with me on email. My email is truthseekerastrology@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Pinterest. You can find me pretty much everywhere. But I pretty much spend most of my time sharing content on Instagram. So Instagram, IG at Truthseeker Astrology. So I'm so glad for you all to be here, either watching the live stream or catching the replay. And let's get into it. Cancer season, for me, is pretty personal because usually every year there's a gang of planets going through my 12th house, and that's very interesting. So a lot of things come up for me, and it's a very challenging month, but nonetheless, I've learned to manage using the cycles of astrology to kind of keep myself going, keep myself motivated. Um, and so just in terms of the question, from an astrological standpoint, what areas of the body does Cancer rule? So I've been doing a lot of research on all the zodiac signs, and you can find a list of the works that I've consulted in the description box. And when you look at all these materials that I've kind of gleaned and gotten my information from, a lot of medical astrologers have a lot to say about Cancer. But when you boil it all down, Cancer, and by extension the moon, rules three areas that we want to focus our discussion on this evening. The stomach, and colleague talked about food, and Cancer loves food. Cancer loves to make food. Cancer loves to share food. Cancer enjoys nurturing through the medium of food. So a lot of the Cancers that I know and love and care for are oftentimes very good cooks. And they oftentimes are the ones who will orchestrate a family gathering and, either prepare all the food themselves or pretty much oversee the preparation of food. And they typically will be the ones to say what's good and what ain't at the cookouts. So, but Cancer, because Cancer is ruled by the moon, people find that sign to be very moody. And if you think about the mechanics of the moon changes sign every 2.5 days. So it's the fastest moving planetary body in our solar system. So it makes sense that the sign Cancer would be considered moody, because it goes through every sign 2.5 days and makes a complete round of the zodiac in a month. So, it's tied to the tides of the water. It's it just has so much sway over those of us who have Cancer significant in our charts. And the moodiness number it's a misnomer. It's I believe that it's more or less, Cancer's really being in touch with the changing lunar cycle. And Cancer oftentimes has a high degree of intuition, and in some cases a high degree of psychic ability. And because all that's connected to the stomach, Cancer is known for having that sort of well-known gut instinct. If you want to really get the scoop on what's going on, Cancer will be able to tell you from their gut what's good and what ain't. So it's very important that Cancer manages the stomach health. And then when you think about the moon, you think about the mother archetype. You think about nurturing. You think about caring for the young, and it makes sense that the sign Cancer rules the breasts. So it doesn't matter what gender, what sexual orientation, or whatever. The breast area, the breast tissue, and by extension the chest cavity is also ruled by Cancer, and by extension the moon. So any triggers that that oftentimes Cancer has to contend with that lead to troubles with those three areas tend to be stress of the emotional kind. And a lot of times that stress is connected to family. It's connected to family issues, family drama, family conflicts. And don't hate me, y'all, for saying this, but it's oftentimes connected to mom. So mom sometimes plays a huge role in why Cancer has trouble in the areas that I pointed out: the stomach, the chest, and by extension, the breasts. The moodiness issue can, lead to mood swings, and that can lead to troubles with, keeping food down, nausea, vomiting. Yeah, I can tell you a funny story. When I was a kid, I remember vomiting a lot. TMI, but it's true. A lot of times when I got upset, I would cry, and I would cry to the point where I would just throw up. And there were very specific foods that I later found I could not tolerate, but I was forced to eat them anyway. It would make my stomach very upset. And by turn, it would make my parents upset that I got upset, and I would throw up and have nausea and all kinds of other issues with my stomach. And later on, through study and investigation, I found out that I was lactose intolerant. So I, pretty much given up milk products. I still eat cheese, but I don't drink cow's milk anymore. I haven't for many, many, many years. And sometimes that shows up. Food intolerances, like being intolerant to lactose, is a digestive issue that cancer sometimes have. Also, I found out that cancer tends to struggle with issues of abandonment. Cancer loves to have their family around, and for whatever reason, being isolated or cut away from their family, from their children, from their mother, can lead to a lot of stress and anxiety. And that shows up as well in the stomach. It may also show up in the breasts. Sometimes cancers have panic attacks, and they find it hard to get air in and out. So chest constriction tends to be an issue that they have to contend with as well. Also, because Cancer is a water sign, Cancer, is one of the three water signs. Pisces and Scorpio are the other two. Cancer struggles with the medical term edema, or the well-known term water retention. So holding water in the joints, also in the stomach, can be an issue for Cancer as well. Also, like just like in the eye sockets, one of the things that I found out about Cancer in my investigation is that Cancer rules all the containers of the body. So think of the stomach as a container, think of the breast as a container, think of the chest cavity as a container holding the lungs and the diaphragm and the heart. So it rules, by extension, all the membranes that kind of hold things together. So it's not necessarily the organs themselves, but it's the membranes that hold all these things together in the cavity. So sometimes if you've dealt with Cancer, you may see them, having some edema or water swelling or water retention around the eyes. Cancer rules the eye cavity as well. So any areas where there's a container reference in the body, Cancer rules that, and sometimes water retention will be a problem there. Let me see, other things that tend to show up as issues for Cancer: inflammation of the stomach. Oftentimes, cancers will complain of acid reflux. And if it's not treated, sometimes it can lead to stomach ulcers. So, and then just on the mild end, flatulence and belching. So if you find that you're dealing with a cancer who belches a lot, it may be a good idea for them to maybe get their stomach checked out. It might be a symptom of something more serious. But before I continue, I want to just issue a disclaimer. I am not a medical professional. Vegan Chef Kali is not a medical professional. We are practitioners in our respective fields, but we're not medical professionals. So if you are having trouble in these three areas that we're talking about, go see a doctor, go get a diagnosis, and then come back to me or come back to her and talk about what you can do to either manage your stress, deal with your emotional issues, deal with, whatever family issues you've got going on, or, talk to Vegan Chef Kali about, developing a meal plan that will help ameliorate or lessen the symptoms that you've been having, so you don't have future flare-ups. I think it's very important for Cancer to, to really think about their relationship to food, because food can lead to so many issues if what they're eating combined with the stress of family life, relatives, emotional issues, it's a potent combination for a lot of problems, and it can create a lot of distress. I've watched cancer suffer through a lot, and mainly because they were eating the wrong foods. The last thing I want to point out about cancer is the notion of emotional eating. Now, we talked a little bit about this with Taurus.
Yeah.
Taurus has emotional eating issues, but it's for different reasons than Cancer. Cancer will engage in emotional eating because it helps them soothe their emotions, whereas Taurus will eat because they can, because they're demonstrating that that they're able to afford to have the finer things, and and sometimes that shows up in how they spend their money on food. And there's a sense of indulgence there. But with Cancer, the emotional eating is very closely linked to emotional issues that they may be having, and they find food as a way to soothe the emotions. And what I found that sometimes Cancer will overeat, but there are Cancers who struggle with eating disorders like bulimia. And, this idea that Cancers all overeat is not true, in the sense that it shows up on their body. It doesn't. I think of Angelina Jolie, who was a Cancer, and I know that she had gone on record with her struggles with eating disorders. And it's all a way to kind of manage the emotions. It's not healthy. So if you find yourself in a situation where you're struggling with your relationship to food, then it's probably a good idea to go seek out professional help for that as well. But that oftentimes shows up. So I'm oftentimes mindful of asking the question, what's your relationship to food, if I'm dealing with a Cancer Sun, Moon, Rising individual. I think that's it. Cancer. Cancer is the heart, the home, the hearth. It's where everything begins and ends. If you think about the zodiac wheel, the moon and Cancer rule the fourth house of the zodiac. So it's the most private part of the natal chart. A lot of times what goes on in the family stays in the family. It doesn't get out, but it shows up, and a lot of times you really want to know what's going on with a family. Look at if there's a Cancer in the family, look at them and you'll know exactly what's going on. Whatever they may tell you, look at them and you'll get a true picture of what's going on with Cancer, with the family structure, because Cancer will reflect that back to the world, whether or not they're trying to, don't blame them for what it is. They're oftentimes struggling to really be the best family member that they can be. So that's pretty much all I have to say about Cancer in the context of this episode. So Kylie, we went over where we're going to talk about a client that you worked with who has a Sun in Cancer. And I took a look at this person's chart, and let me see here. Let me get where's my chart? Kylie, can you just go into, just like the age and the sort of general picture of this person that you were with?
Yeah, sure. So my client is a female, and she just turned 59. She's had numerous health problems, challenges. And so when she came to me, we talked about her anemia. So she has an iron deficiency. So she takes over-the-counter phosphorus sulfate, for that. Asthma is another challenge for her. So she was born asthmatic. And then another one is high blood pressure. but she's also experiencing a lot of like hot and cold flashes due to spinal cord surgery. So all of that goes into, and also she has a high metabolism. So sometimes she undereats. When you mentioned some of the cancers, you know, have some issues either way. She's definitely one that challenged to get her to eat more often.
Right.
You know, she is a diehard. First thing in the morning, I have to have my coffee. So, and working with her, we started talking about her intake of sweeteners. So we changed sweeteners, which regular sugar to, we tried monk fruit sugar and date syrup or date sugar. And she likes those combinations. So those are the challenges.
Okay.
Lovely Cancer has, yes.
Yeah, so I took a look at her chart. I have her chart in front of me. I won't put it on screen due to privacy, but she has a 12th house Cancer sun. She also has Mercury in Cancer at a very sensitive point in her chart. And her Mercury, what I call in astrology, we call rulership. So every planet rules a sign, and by extension, the planet in that sign in the chart. So her Mercury is in Cancer, and it is holding sway over her Mars in Gemini. So that speaks to the asthma issue and flare-ups. I'm imagining she's had to deal with those off and on for, you know, most of her life.
Allergies.
Yeah. And we talked about that in the Gemini season episode. Gemini's tendency to have trouble with respiratory issues and asthma and stuff like that. So the thing is, you know, everybody's got Cancer in their chart. Everybody's got Gemini. Everybody's got a portion of their chart represented by each of the zodiac signs. But for this client, what I'm oftentimes looking at when I'm dealing with Cancer is the moon, the condition of the moon, what sign it's in, and any aspects it's making or receiving. And she's got the moon in Scorpio, which is interesting because the moon is in Scorpio today, right now. We're talking. And it's blending with Neptune, which is retrograde in her chart. And it is kind of off an island to itself. So she's got the 12th house Cancer sun. She's got a 4th house Scorpio moon conjunct Neptune in the other private place in her chart. And she also has in the 3rd private area of her chart, Jupiter conjunct Chiron in Pisces. So by element, she has a grand water trine. So it's interesting that you said that she has anemia, but I'm wondering also with the high blood pressure, has she dealt with any water retention issues like in her ankles or feet or hands or anything like that?
No, because of the spinal cord surgery, she had to basically rebuild her body, like relearn how to walk, relearn how to use her limbs all over. So her muscle mass, and she had a stroke too. So it took.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it took some of her mobility away and muscle mass.
Got it.
So that's a constant, you know, workout, trying to get that muscle mass going, but also being mindful of limits, you know, as far as the spinal cord area, like her neck, shoulder area, her back, you know. Yeah.
Right. So it's interesting because that Cancer sun is hidden away, but she also has Leo rising. So there's that sort of contradiction there. In terms of like wanting to be, you know, be seen, be, you know, creative, be out front, but then have that Cancer sun wanting to retreat by side, but also by house. You know, this is a person, and you know, from just looking at the chart, you know, doesn't mind being out and about, but when they're done, they're done. They want to get back and you know, recharge and all that stuff. So I'm wondering, did she, and anemia showed up in the host of things that cancer deals with, which was surprising to me, because I actually dealt with iron deficiency anemia for a long time, before I got my diet together. So it's just interesting that I'm seeing that. But so you're saying that she doesn't have any issues with the main three areas that I'm mentioning about cancer.
She does, because
Okay.
she has fibrocystic breast, so she's easily
Okay.
susceptible to developing fibroids. So that, and then again, because of her muscle mass, or lack of muscle mass in the breast and her upper chest area, you know, they're dense and below. So stomach, when it comes to her stomach, she's definitely what you just mentioned earlier when it comes to intuition and emotions and the gut with cancer. She's definitely that type of cancer. She emotionally copes to eat with sweets,
Mm-hmm.
which we talk about. That's part of the changes we work on. She also sometimes tends to like undereat. Like I mentioned earlier, she'll undereat, so she's not eating enough to fuel her body and the mobility that she's doing through her day-to-day life.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so it's ebb and flow.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's cancer, ebb and flow,
Yeah.
right, with the moon, the tides, the ups and downs of the moon moving from constellation to constellation every 2.5 days. And part of what I had to learn as Cancer rising individual is to track the moon's movements every single day, so that I knew where it was in the sky, and I also knew where it was in my chart, so that I could keep my moods from going up and down, up and down. I had to get control over how I was feeling and how that particular emotion was playing out with other people. So I oftentimes tell cancer types, one of the easiest things you can do from an astrological standpoint is keep track of where the moon is. And when the moon goes void, in other words, it doesn't make any more major aspects in a sign that it's in before it changes signs. Take that time, whether it's 2 hours or 2 days, or no, it's usually not that long, but it can range.
Yes, it is.
It
Yes,
can range.
it is.
It can range anywhere from 2 hours to a day, depending on how long, when it goes void in a sign and how long it's going to take to enter another sign. I usually take that downtime to rest and recharge. And that's one of the easiest things that Cancer can do to really like manage how they're feeling. And in that way, you don't feel like you're overdoing it and then you're, wanting to eat. Because, the science says sometimes we overeat, and this is anybody. We overeat because we're probably dehydrated or we're probably just tired. And, that goes for anybody. But, with cancer especially, that urge to either undereat, overeat is usually because there's some fatigue. So I'm wondering, how did you give her any guidance in terms of her meal planning around what she could, eat or drink to help her relax?
So with that, we started working on like having tea instead of coffee at night, specifically like nettle tea. We'll do nettle tea has been the overall biggest one for her, because our doctor suggested she should do it too. So we've been like doing more of that at night as opposed to having a coffee, because sometimes she, depending on her day, she'll start off with a coffee, she may not be able to finish it. So she'll want to be like, to soothe herself at night from a busy day, she'll have another nighttime coffee to make up for the morning time coffee.
Oh, wow.
So, we try to like limit the coffee and introduce a tea at night to give her calmness, like chamomile tea, and again, the nettle tea.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to work when she does it.
Right. So in terms of the treatment for her anemia, has that affected her digestion? Is she just used to that, or what is she doing to kind of counteract it? I know that taking iron supplements can lead to constipation, which is actually a Virgo situation, but we just gonna imagine that we're talking about cancer. So so how has that affected her digestion, taking that iron?
So we try to do like more beets. She is a big fan of like golden beets, red beets. So we'll roast those and, have them as part of a salad. And we'll include spinach. Then another thing is that a lot of the ways that I'm helping her eat again, and the choices I'm helping her make, like reintroducing like having more hummus, more avocado, and it's okay to have like the sugar snacks, but that's just change up the sugar type of sugar and the ingredients of the snack, and that's been helping her a lot too. Now with the iron again, it would be like the beets and the spinach, the kale. She's not a big, huge kale fan, but if I can introduce it into a smoothie with, like papaya or dragon fruit. Her favorite fruit is mango, so we'll put mango into the smoothie for her. And then I'll add in, which I always add in moringa as an extra like iron supplement.
And how is it?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
She also, has tried my sea moss smoothie. So when I do those, I again try to incorporate like vegetables and fruits that she already likes. Mm-hmm. So for her to have something is better than nothing. So that's been helping her a lot. Her doctor has given her, because she had a checkup months back. This is what, July, May. She had a checkup with her doctor. And so far what we've been doing, what we've been working on, she's been happy with the results. So she told us to keep on moving, keep on going.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think like the beets for the anemia, that's always, I love beets. So I try to eat them when I can get them, to keep my iron levels up, because it does, help make sure you get the good oxygen in the blood, which helps with the asthma, etc. But I'm wondering, and what my question is going to be. Mm-hmm. We talked about Taurus, we talked about Gemini, we're talking about Cancer. What kind of encouragement are you finding that Cancer needs as opposed to other signs as it relates to food issues and eating healthy, making healthy choices in terms of, food, because food is such a big thing with Cancer, whether it's,
yeah,
whether it's on one end of the continuum or the other. I'm wondering what kind of encouragement did you find yourself giving to this client as opposed to others that you've worked with?
So this particular client is already a foodie anyway. She loves food. As thin as she is, it's amazing how much, her appetite, again, but she has that high metabolism. She burns it very fast. So she is a foodie. So that helps a lot. So that means that's an openness to trying different things. Right. And then if she's opposed to trying it, she lets me know, can we do something else? So we'll do a compromise. So definitely be open to compromising and being patient. And again, because she's open to trying different things, and it's not like this is new to her. She's, 59. So,
Right.
This is something that is generational, ancestral as well. But it's just about, how we get out of the way of eating that's good for us because, we trying to do the fast and quick way, because of time, schedule, whatever, life experiences. So it's just a matter of incorporating again, reintroducing, new stuff, new herbs. Another thing we've been introducing, like black garlic to her. That's new. Black lava salt. And there's certain like Hawaiian lava salt. There's another, it's called, I think it's called lava or Kana lava. And this one is particular from the islands. I know a Jamaican chef was telling me about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so this particular lava has an enriched iron antioxidants in it as well. So that's something that you can put into your food when you're seasoning.
So in turn, you said that she saw a doctor for a checkup and everything looked good on, from the standpoint of her physician. And that's good. I mean, that's always good to hear that. Were there any changes that you recommended that she wasn't open to? I know you said she's a foodie and she, loves food. I mean, that
Yeah.
to me is not surprising, but was there anything that she had a resistance to?
Wheatgrass.
Wheatgrass.
Yeah, wheatgrass. It's an acquired taste anyway.
Yeah.
But it's also iron. It feeds your blood. There's, your iron. And so, it's good. The cleanser, rebuilder, immune strengthener. So I understand, it's acquired taste. So what we did was, again, to counterbalance that, not liking that, we did the sea moss. We introduced sea moss.
And you said she liked that.
Yeah. Especially if it's like with a mango,
Oh, okay.
Caribbean like kind of flair,
As long as it has sweetness too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You got to know your client. Like, what do you like? What type of fruits? And that's part of the consultation I have with my clients. Like, tell me what fruits and vegetables you already like. That way we can start from that foundation and then, build and introduce something, and layer it up more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. All right. So let's take a break here and shout out your links. Tell us where you're at.
Okay. So my website
and all that stuff.
So my website is again www.eat2thrive.life. Again, it's www.eat2thrive.life. And my Instagram page is at Vegan Chef Collie. And I also have a Facebook page, but that's Collie Chandra Taylor. That's my whole name. So we'll just go book me through IG, Instagram. It's easier, or my website again. And so my Gmail account is veganchefcollie@gmail.com.
Right on. So hit that Cash app. If you watching this on the replay, hit the Cash app.
Oh yes, Cash app. Yeah.
Yeah.
We love donations.
Go ahead.
I said we love donations.
Donations are some appreciation, my friends.
Yes.
Don't just take the information and run. Don't just take the information and then go back into your little hole. Let me stop. We work very hard on prepping for these episodes. A lot of effort and blood, sweat, tears, brain cells get run down trying to prepare because we want to make sure that you get good information to help you make good decisions about what you eat and how you decide to live your life. Wellness is such an important, I know it's trendy, to say, oh, wellness this, wellness that. Well, a lot of times we come to wellness because of a crisis, a health crisis. And Kylie, I don't want to put your business out there, but I will say a little bit about me. My health crisis came in, well, it began in about 2002. And I just had my daughter, and I was having some reproductive troubles that ended me up in 3 separate ERs. And after going back and forth with 3 separate teams of doctors who at one point gave me a spinal tap, and because I was having severe headaches and I was having severe bleeding and a host of other issues, they put me on a morphine spinal tap. And at that point, I was determined to figure out what was going on with me. And I finally got a diagnosis after doing my own research and finding out that I had a bleeding disorder. And I supplemented my diet, which was really, really bad back then, with vitamin K. And I've since learned that you can get that naturally through green vegetables, leafy salads, all kinds of green vegetables that you should be eating anyway. But for whatever reason, I won't go into that here, I was not. And so it sent me into a severe health crisis. And at that moment, I decided I needed to get back to, eating well and treating my body well, because, if you don't have good health, you really don't have anything. When you come close to a situation where where it feels like you're going to lose your life. And I'm going to tell you something. I felt like I was dying, sitting in that emergency room with a spinal tap, in a lot of pain. I thought I was having a stroke. They put me in, I had a CAT scan, MRIs, nothing showed up. Lots of blood tests, and eventually the round of blood tests that led to my diagnosis, I had a bleeding time of almost 20 minutes. It took me 20 minutes to clot. And, that's when I realized I need to get back to eating healthy. And from that point on, making gradual changes back to where I was before I got married, had kids, the whole nine. I was eating healthy. I was a vegetarian, working out 6 days a week. And then I got settled and I got complacent, and I went astray with my life, with my body, with my diet. And I almost paid the price. I paid a pretty severe price. Got up to a very, very high weight. And by the time I got to Philadelphia, I lost a lot of it, but I still had plenty to go. And about a year ago, I decided to go completely plant-based because I watched this documentary that, if you wanted to perform better in your workouts, cut out the meat, cut out red meat. And so I did. Now I only eat a little bit of salmon, maybe a little tuna, but for the most part, my diet is plant-based. And I believe in this stuff. I believe in it because I believe that our bodies are a gift. I believe that, if we don't have good health, we really don't have anything. You can be smart as a whip, but if your body ain't working right, what are you gonna do? Lay in bed, reading books? That's not living your life at your best potential. So I believe in wellness, holistic wellness, because we are people, Black folks. I believe in doing it the, soulistic way. I believe that we should put our minds, bodies, hearts, and souls into what we eat. But it's okay to say, some of the things that we've been raised on weren't the best for us. But we can't liberate ourselves or liberate each other if we're eating crap food, if we are not moving and getting the type of exercise and movement in our bodies that we need. And I also believe in, in taking time to calm our minds and our spirits. So whatever that spiritual practice is for you, keep doing it. I mean, I picked up a meditation practice. I meditate every day, and it keeps my mind and my spirit calm. And, it's just very important to honor our bodies. What we put in it is what we reflect out. So it's just, you know, this project is very important to me. And, you know, I'm partnering with Vegan Chef Kali because she has the expertise to be able to talk about these issues from the standpoint of working with clients directly to help them make better choices with, you know, the food that they eat, making it palatable, making it delicious, making it so you keep going back over and over and over again versus just trying it one time saying I ain't doing that no more. You know, it's a gift. It's a gift to be able to do that. And I want to honor that. And I hope you all do too. So hit that Cash App. Hit it.
$.
Hit it.
Kalichandra. KALICHANDRA. Cash App $. KALICHANDRA.
All right.
Thank you.
So yeah, like the openness, the compromise, the patience, you know, those are great qualities to have. And the good thing about Cancer is one of the 4 cardinal signs of the zodiac. It's Cancer, Capricorn, Libra, Aries. Those 4 signs like to start stuff. They are the initiators of the zodiac. So if you go to them and you tell them, hey, why don't we start this new thing? And for Cancer, if you frame it as, oh yeah, we're going to start this new thing that nurtures your body in a way that feels good to you, that feels like home, that feels like family, then they're going to be open to that. You know, I believe, you know, I use in all of my posts on Instagram, we live our horoscopes, we speak our horoscopes. So if you really listen to people, you can hear them speaking their sun sign. If you really attune to what they're saying, you can hear them speaking their moon sign. If you pay attention to how they look and how they move and their personality that they present to you when they meet you, you can figure out their rising sign. You don't need to cast a chart. It's a practice that if you're really paying attention, you'll see it. And that openness, that compromise, that patience, you know, it's all there in your client's chart. And it's really good to hear that that she was in a position, you know, I don't want to use the medical term compliance, but she was willing to make changes that would help her continue to live a life that, you know, of thriving, of being healthy, of not necessarily one day waking up and not having any pain or any issues, but having a better quality of life. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because she likes to be creative, you know, and then like you spoke about Cancer, they're about being creative. She's definitely about family, deep-rooted family roots. And a lot of their times, yes, as people of color, we spend family time around food.
Right. Exactly.
So, you know, and when you see, because right now she's, you know, with her great aunt that she takes care of. So she sees her making different health choices and food choices and, you know, the sugars and cooking oils and stuff. So she's like, oh, what are you doing? I want to check that out, you know? And then when she tastes it, because it's prepared for her, she's like, oh, I like that. And she happens to be another Cancer. Yeah. So it's no coincidence that those two are together, right. Different age group and generational gap, but they're both foodies. They love food. Right. Yeah. And definitely have a sweet tooth. Both of them have a sweet tooth.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember growing up, and I mean, both sides of my family, when they got together, it was gonna be some eating. And there are some women in my family who could make some incredible desserts. But the downside of that, and this is not a Cancer problem, but it's more of a Libra problem. There's a lot of diabetes in the family, and I'm determined to, you know, to break those chains. You know, I don't want to have anything that relates to lifestyle choice. You know, I don't it's a balancing act when we're talking about food, because food is so tied up in our family, family memories, and how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about where we come from. But again, like, no one has to live in your body but you. So at the end of the day, your family loves you, but they ain't gonna be there to go to every doctor's appointment. They're not
Right.
gonna be there to take every shot. They're not gonna be there if you end up having to get surgery. They're not, they may, but there's no guarantee. They're not gonna be there if you develop an ulcer. They're not gonna be there if you develop, a serious problem with your breasts. And, and the list goes on and on. So if we know better and we try to do better, we're breaking chains, but we're not abandoning where we come from. We just want to make sure that our family lines thrive in a different way. Right. So, this particular episode, I was really just thinking about how to approach it, because it is a very emotional one for me. But I'm so happy to hear that your client is thriving under your expertise in making these, what some would see as major adjustments. I see them as just tweaks.
Yeah.
But those tweaks can go a long way of, in making sure that we live longer, that she lives longer, that she's healthier, she has better mobility, her appetite is such that she wants to eat. And when she's burning, with that high metabolism, she's burning in a good way. She's not burning muscle, things like that. So we usually talk about healthy choices that cancer can make right now. And so I want to hear, just, kind of breaking it down, starting with this, if cancer has trouble with the stomach, what should they avoid right now? Like, they're sitting up watching this live stream and you talking, and they're like, my stomach, well, I'm gonna keep eating this ice cream.
Oh, and speaking of ice cream, my cancer client doesn't like ice cream, so that definitely helps.
You know what I do? I don't eat ice cream anymore either. I love sorbet though.
Yeah, right.
Fruit, any non-dairy, like.
Right, yeah.
But sorbets, fruit sorbets, the Talenti, oh man.
Yes.
Berry, that mango is the.
Yes.
Love it.
So stuff like that. We'll eat sorbets. She's gotten into a friend of mine, she makes her vegan ice cream. Yeah. And so when she makes, a new flavor, we'll, taste test it. And so, that's went over well with her as well. And then her great aunt is lactose intolerant. So she does the lactate milk.
Oh, okay.
But she's open to trying like almond milk. We just had a discussion like 2 days ago about what types of almond milk to have, like almond milk versus what I make versus in a store, and what to taste and what to look for, because on marketing, it can really trip you up.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So if the cancer is sitting up watching this replay, enjoying a bowl of Ben and Jerry's, would you tell them to put that down?
Yes. Yes.
Oh man.
Because this is the things that cancer should avoid, and why. So we talked about refined carbs, and a lot of the sweet tooth ideas are baked goods, the flour, the carbon, the sugar, and the processed beverages and food and snacks. A lot of our foods and snacks have wheat gluten in it, salt, and among other things. She has this favorite. She'll cheat with Cheetos.
Not the hot Cheetos.
The orange Cheetos, and
Oh, the orange, just the regular ones.
Yeah. That's her cheat. Oh, and Etamins, as she likes to say.
Oh, like the pastries?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So those are her cheat ones.
Got it.
So we do that in moderation.
Let me ask you a question though.
Yes.
Because I've given up, I found once I really started cleaning up my diet that I really just had an intolerance to bread. Wheat bread, any kind of wheat bread, and all I eat instead of like bread, I love the glutino English muffins. So that's like how far I'll go with like a bread type item, but I don't eat bread anymore. I eat tortillas, corn tortillas. Like I eat them, you know.
So you're making wraps?
Yeah, I don't do wraps. It's just like if I have, like, say for instance, like you have a egg sandwich or whatever, instead of like the bread, I just put it on a tortilla, you know, just, so I guess it is a wrap. But I don't do bread anymore. I learned that it upset my stomach so bad eating bread that I'm wondering if your client has had issues with eating bread and then the gluten issue as well. Like, could you speak to that a little bit?
So for her, no, that's not her issue. She doesn't make sandwiches much, but when she does, her favorite bread is a regular bread, and she's not open to sourdough. She doesn't like sourdough. And sourdough is the best bread for a vegan or anybody to have because it doesn't have the wheat gluten in it. It's made with spelt flour, unbleached whole wheat. So it's made from grains, the grain and millet, as opposed to the wheat. A lot of people also have a tolerance to wheat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So which causes that inflammation or upset stomach. But for her, she'll do like her favorite is brioche.
Yeah.
The brioche bread. So again, but that's in moderation. She's not a heavy carb person, except for the baked goods.
The Intamins.
Yeah.
What's her favorite Intamin? I'm just imagining like this long box of like they make this.
So her favorite,
that cheesecake,
is
Danish.
No, I like the Danish. That was my thing.
Oh, okay.
But she likes the donuts and chocolate chips.
Okay. All right.
Those are her favorite.
It's funny because when you mention that, it brings up memories, Cancer, of my dad. He would bring that stuff home.
Okay.
Because he loved like pastries, not loved, like he's gone, he's still here. But growing up with him, I remember him bringing home stuff like that, Intamins, you know, the Danishes. I didn't really like the donuts, like the chocolate covered donuts, but they had these crumb donuts.
Yeah.
I was on the top, like cupcake. Oh man.
Yes. They still have those.
Yeah. Yes. That brought back a lot of memories. You know, Intamins. Intamins. I'm trying to figure out. I'm looking them
and
up.
they closed the warehouses. You don't have many warehouses, you know, so which is good.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing. Yeah. I'm wondering how many people still eating Intamins, the white box and the blue letters. Oh man, I thought that was like better than Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, how about that? How about that?
Always memories, Cancer, memories of food. So what about, you mentioned her having issues with fibrous breasts.
Yeah.
What triggers that?
Well, for her, it's generational. Anybody, they try to say when you breastfeed, weight, because she had a fluctuation of weight, you know, going up and down in weight. So your breast builds up, that tissue builds up, and then, when you lose the weight, you lose the muscle mass and becomes thinner, to change your shape in breasts.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the most reasons I've heard from doctors.
Yeah. I'm looking at my notes. There's a book that I consulted by Reynold Ebertine, who did a lot of work on midpoint astrology, and he talks about the nodularity of the breasts, aka lumpy breast tissue, and it was just like, oh, okay. I don't know. I'm just wondering if that's just the normal function of the breast to get lumpy after like breastfeeding or nursing, or is that something that people should be concerned about? Just thinking about, okay, maybe we have a history of, breast cancer in the family. Should I be extra concerned? And as always, if you got issues with your breast, fam, go to the doctor. Make sure you're getting, doing them self checks every month, and you're seeing a doctor, especially if you have a history of cancer, particularly breast cancer.
And then also too, there's some family and connection for her, like smoking,
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So all those things you have to definitely be mindful when you have breasts that are susceptible to any kind of illnesses in the muscle tissues. Yeah.
So in terms of, we talked about what to avoid, like, if you got sensitive stomach around dairy issues, gluten issues, whole, wheat processed stuff like that. Salt, if you have issues with swelling, right? What are some good alternatives to shaking salt on your stuff if you know that you have a tendency to, hold water?
Right, and then you talk about like the hypertension and stuff like that. And,
right.
Too much salt can give you a high blood pressure too, spike your high blood pressure. So the alternatives I always suggest like a herbivore, which is more of a seasonal salt that has like herbs like onion, parsley, different herbs within the salt. So it's like a sea salt mixed with, again, herbs. That's one salt. The black salt I mentioned earlier, the kava, I believe it's kava lava. And then you got Hawaiian black salt as well. So those are also good salts. Sea salt is good. Use that sparingly. Himalayan salt is another good switch and change up. I like to experiment with like different international salts, because they have great salt out there. The salt is not all white.
Right.
There's so many different types of salts that you can try, especially, again, international, not just. So if you're open to, trying a new salt here and there, we can always discuss that in your consultation. I like to play with season. I like to play with herbs and flavor. I like, because again, food should be flavorful. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the paradox, though, if you think about Cancer being a water sign, and the need to drink a lot of water, especially, no matter what, you should be drinking a lot of water anyway. But the tendency to hold water is an interesting paradox. So, like convincing a Cancer to, drink more water when they're like, well, when I do, it feels like it's, I got all this puffiness everywhere, and it's not about the water, it's about, the tendency to retain it, perhaps because of the sodium intake and how you might need to adjust that.
Yes, because there's a lot of sodium in preservatives and processed food.
Right.
A lot of our packaged food have a lot, again, preservatives, which is that salt, and again, which creates or could create that hypertension, that high blood pressure, and that water weight gain, you know, and that's not even talk about if you're a woman.
Right. I mean, I've seen cancer male, male presenting individuals with bellies that look like they're, if you think about the crab, right? The crab has this sort of, these little legs, these little pincers, and they have this big shell in the middle. And that's, cancers tend to look like that. They tend to have that sort of middle that's kind of rounded out, and they may have the little legs, a little it's kind of interesting. A lot of cancer types look like crabs, especially if they have a lot of water emphasis in their charts. So it's really important to get a lot of water, but make sure you're not eating a lot of foods that have a lot of hidden salt in them, and then adding your own salt to it and retaining water where you shouldn't be retaining it. So it's just an interesting paradox to me.
Yeah.
So we covered salt. We covered some things to avoid if you don't want to upset your stomach. Let me ask you about carbonated beverages, because when I think about things progressing on the stomach front to like ulcers and acid reflux, should cancer be drinking a lot of soda? I mean, nobody should be drinking a lot of soda. None of us should be, right? But cancer, because that could be a vulnerable spot. That stomach is a vulnerable point in the body for cancer, and anything that could make it, lead to acid reflux, a lot of belching, I saw that over and over and over. All the literature I was looking at, belching and flatulence. I didn't know it was so many different terms for the words. It was like, I'm looking up what, this term means. Oh, it's belching. What does this term mean? Oh, that's farting. Cancers apparently fart a lot. They belch a lot. So I'm like, okay, so should y'all be drinking soda?
Well, yeah, right. No. And to change that up for my cancer client, because she was a soda drinker. And again, she still does, but we talk about accountability, because to go back to some of the choices and how I coach this cancer client is to help her to assume or take or accept accountability for those times when she's drinking a Pepsi knowing she's not supposed to have a Pepsi, or she'll drink Mountain Dew. That's what her aunt drinks, a Mountain Dew. She had Mountain Dews around, so the constant momentum of Mountain Dew around, there's ginger ale, and then there's water. So the next thing is trying to limit. But I'm not around, but again, that's when the cancer takes accountability. We talk about that. You're like, oh, okay, I see you enjoying that Mountain Dew. Is it tasty? I hear you belching over there a lot, and we joke around, but
oh man,
so then what we also talk about is having like more ginger.
Okay.
So she's a big ginger ale fan and ginger beer fan. So, we'll add those carbonated drinks in.
Okay. And ginger is good for nausea and stuff like that.
Right.
But I'm just wondering about like the carbonation. Like, I knew someone who drank a lot of seltzer water. And I'm like, is that good for me? Like, if you're doing that to substitute from drinking, soda, because you like the bubbly part.
That's what it is. They still want that bubbly. So I found, speaking of that, it's just funny talking about this, is that I came across mineral water, like sparkling mineral water by Pellegrino, and that's pretty good. I tried they have a pomegranate one. I think it's pomegranate and blood orange.
So are these like the blood orange, like the Pellegrinos? I love those. I don't do them very often.
No, that's definitely true.
Because it's like it has, it's sweetened. So
Yeah.
I try to just avoid anything that's sweetened, juices, things like that. Just water, and I'll have my coffee in the morning. But those Pellegrinos, man, they are so good. They are so good.
So we'll switch up every now and then on that too.
Can you like can you make like a spritzer with those and add like fruit and, pureed fruit? Or I'm just thinking, like, how can Cancer limit their exposure to the carbonation that may trigger stomach upset or even worse, acid reflux or whatever, but still get to enjoy what they want in terms of that carbonated, bubbly essence?
Yes. So there's a few like choices that I can share with one being Trader Joe's has a hibiscus and lemongrass. So that's a good one. You get 4 cans, and that's a nice carbonated drink. But again, if you're not into like you just stated something that's already sweetened, but for those who you can also do like a good ginger beer, and add ice to it, and mix like some fruit and make it a nice smoothie. Nice, cold drink, frozen drink.
Okay.
There's another one. What else have I tried? Again, the sparkling mineral water, because they say mineral water, again, minerals is feeding your body. So if you've got to have the flavor or the sweetener, that's the best one to have. Trader Joe's also has a blood orange soda. So it's a carbonated soda. But the sweetener, the sugar content is not super high.
Okay.
And that's perfect over ice. Or you can make it a blended drink.
A blended drink. So is there anything
like pineapple juice?
Yeah, I love pineapple juice. Like I've been on that. Like this week, I've been adding that to my smoothies. Mainly because I'm just trying to mix it up.
Yeah.
Smoothies can be boring. Is there anything else that Cancer should stop doing right now, that avoid doing, based on the profile that the picture that we kind of painted about Cancer, what they like, what their, what their weaknesses are? What should they put down right now? One more thing.
Okay, so we talked about refined carbs. We talked about processed foods, drinking, snacks. We talked about overeating of sweets and sugars. And another one we need to mention is soy-based products. And so soy-based products like soybeans and tofu can cause mild stomach and intestinal side effects like the constipation and the bloating and the nausea.
So that's funny.
So those soy nuggets or those sometimes they have like wings or something, or meatballs. Yeah. Like you have to like really ask what some of the meat is made out of.
Yeah.
Like, because you'll see soybean, so you don't want to stay away from anything that says soybean or soy products, soy milk. And if you notice, it's a lot of soy.
Yeah.
And then limit your intake of oatmeal too.
Oatmeal?
Yes, oatmeal can be mucus bases for some people, cause mucus. especially if you eat Quaker oats, like
Oh,
regular Quaker oats. Yeah,
okay.
they definitely, yeah.
So I want to go back to the soy because I understand that there could possibly be a link between that and breast issues. So that
Yeah.
would be like eliminating two birds with one stone by cutting out soy-based stuff.
Yeah.
I'll
And
tell
a
you
lot of,
something.
yeah. And a lot of Asian dishes,
Yeah,
they have tofu,
yeah.
tofu is everywhere. Tofu, 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 you know. Yeah.
Nah, I was on that
Edamame.
for a minute.
Yeah. And we all were, because that's the program which you were taught. Like, you go from not eating meat to eating a meat replacement, which is that wheat gluten and that soy-based tofu, they kind of mimic, the
Me,
shape and taste and texture.
right.
But the contents of what it's made of, give us the opposite. It's not necessarily feeding our body,
Right.
causing some discomfort. So, and then I also learned, when you mentioned about acid reflux and like stomach issues, is like, lower your intake of like black pepper, use white pepper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And spicy food,
Yeah. Yeah, I would say cancers are like their stomachs are so sensitive that my thing is if you eating some cancer and it's making your stomach upset, perhaps you should not be eating it. I mean, you could just start like I've eliminated so much stuff because I've eaten stuff, even stuff that's marketed as like healthy or whatever. And if it makes my stomach feel weird, like heavy, or like I know I'm gonna have trouble digesting this, I don't eat it anymore. Cause I know that's gonna then lead to my Virgo intestinal troubles, like the stomach thing first and then the intestinal thing later. And I'm like, if it's gonna make my stomach feel like this, I'm not gonna eat this anymore.
Yeah.
That's sort of my filter for my cancer rising filter is like, oh, stomach didn't like that, not eating that no more. So, I don't know. I feel like, I mean, these are all really, really good things that people get, who are cancer strong in their chart that they can avoid. But my thing is like, just follow your gut. That's why you got that amazing gut instinct. Just follow your gut. If your gut is you eating that thing, and then your stomach is all bubbling and stuff, don't eat it anymore. Just don't eat it.
Yeah. Because they say, like, again, doing my research, which I believe that references and researchers are in the disclaimer of the site in which we are taping. But I came across, it said like 85% of diseases start with your gut, the imbalance of your digestive.
Right, exactly. So I want to, I mean, that's a good segue into this whole debate about probiotics, prebiotics, fiber, and all that.
Right.
Because we talk about like what cancer should then be eating, like herbal remedies, vitamins, supplements, starting there and then just going from there. But I want to really like focus on this question of probiotics and replacing what's bad in your gut with what's good in your gut. And it's just so much stuff out there. And can you help us sort through the complexity of all this? Like, what should cancer be doing in terms of prebiotics, probiotics, fiber?
So, and it depends, because you got probiotics that are dairy based, and then you got some that are non-dairy based. So I would definitely, if you're not already on a non-dairy based probiotic kit, you should get on it, because a lot of them do have a lot of sugar, and not enough of the probiotic rate in it that your gut needs to process, because it's overworking with the sugar. So definitely take a look and read your ingredients and the sugar content versus your probiotic ingredients. And another thing, probiotic, if you're not into, again, the dairy or non-dairy based, they also have like probiotic shots. There's one company, I forget the name of the company's name, but they're like little probiotic shots. So, and it comes in kefir, like you got so many different ways probiotic comes in now.
Yeah.
So you got liquids, you got the dairy, non-dairy, you got probiotics and herbal supplements. Like it is overwhelming.
It is. It's very much
very
so.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
But it's also do your research and learn. I definitely suggest that clients do research and learn the percentage rate of how much probiotics you should have on your daily supplement, because you can overdo it too.
Yeah. I can personally attest to that.
Yeah. So like another probiotic you can do, like on the herbal remedies, we got teas, you know, the different types of probiotics. Beets is the most natural probiotic there is.
You said beets?
Beets, yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, so it does amazing things. Like it's a cleanser as well as for the body, your blood, feeds you, give you the iron.
Right.
You know, so it's amazing. Beets are good. But like a lot of herbal remedies I have on the list is like dandelion root, burdock root, vitamin C. We need vitamin C. And why do we need vitamin C? Because we should.
Well,
it keeps going and prevents you from getting the colds and getting sick.
Right.
You know?
I think the vitamin C question is, I'll just say this from personal experience. So I was taking, when COVID hit, there was somebody on my Facebook, somebody I know actually in real life, who was also my Facebook friend, and she was kind of pushing this vitamin C thing, you know, evidence showing that vitamin C, you know, can protect you from, you know, COVID, can boost your immunity response, so on and so forth. So I started taking, you know, including, you know, in my regimen of supplements, vitamin C. But I found out it had upset my acidic alkaline balance. And I'm telling you, I was like, why am I feeling like this? And then I stopped doing it after, you know, some months. And I was like, oh, it was too much. How much is enough vitamin C? Because it can, you know, if you deal with like stomach upset and you have a history of ulcers, I'm wondering if taking that might, you know, make that worse.
Yeah, so they suggest like 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day.
Uh-oh.
Here I am.
Okay, no problem. We're here.
Here we are. Minor technical difficulty.
No problem.
Right. So yeah, so they mentioned 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams a day.
Right.
Yep. The vitamin C.
So if you should first be getting that in your diet, like, right?
Yes, as much as possible.
So if you're Cancer and you have a sensitive stomach, what's the best way of getting vitamin C that wouldn't upset your stomach?
Well, orange juice can be a little acidic.
Yes.
And then if you have an upset stomach, so greens wouldn't be too good. But like definitely try to do some garlic and some ginger. Okay. You know, we want to take that nausea down first. So it's like it's a two-step.
Right. Yes. It's all connected. Like the gut can really tell you if you're off.
Right. Right.
Something is off. Your gut will tell you in no uncertain terms, hey, you need to get this in balance. So if you're nauseous all the time, there's something that's off. And there are things that you can take to help with that, but you probably need to go see a doctor and get worked up to make sure it's not something hidden in the gut that may be beyond like the sort of dietary changes that we're talking about. Just, just to put it out there.
Right.
If you're trying to ginger your way through, a major, stomach lining issue, I don't know, ginger might not be the solution. Maybe, gastroenterologist might, you might need to go see them, stomach specialist or whatever. But I've like, my stomach is my barometer. If anything is off with me, my stomach will let me know. And then by extension, my intestines, and that's all Virgo. Like if I'm anxious, I know I'm having troubles with, constipation and stuff like that. But like stomach and start bubbling and all that, oh man, I know I got to tweak the diet. I got to tweak what I'm eating. I probably need to get more fluids in. Maybe my sugar is a little high, taking too much sugar in, and I'm having trouble, processing that in the gut. That's why I said in the beginning, if you want to know what's going on with the family, look at the Cancer. Look at that little shy little Cancer over in the corner. They'll tell you exactly what's going on in that family, what y'all eating, what kind of stress y'all under, how well you're communicating, what the secrets are, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So my position on probiotics is find one that works. Keep that gut flora in balance, because that can go a long way in bringing you a lot of just comfort, stomach comfort.
Right.
Ain't nothing worse than a bubbly stomach. I'm sorry. Just, I don't know if you've had a bubbly stomach, but it's not fun.
No. And sometimes, because you can even overdo it. And emotions, again, because we talked about cancers and how a lot of the emotions in their stomach and their gut, can present, especially if they're under stress,
right,
in any kind of way, can present into, digestion issues, gastro issues,
Exactly.
And I've seen that also with my client as well.
Yeah. So, you mentioned teas. We talked a little bit about fruits and vegetables. Are there any more that you wanted to mention that give a special shout out about that Cancer should really be taking in?
There's a supplement called, and I may have spoke about this with previous signs like Taurus and Gemini, that adaptogen, which has the maca powder, the reishi, and the ashwagandha in it. So those are like a lot right now on the market. So if people are not already into it or adding it like a powder supplement to their smoothies, definitely start to introduce that into your body, into your regimen.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely good for stress.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And energy, giving you that energy. And, like you said, they are water signs. So, intuitive to the moon, that adaptogen will give them that evenness, that flow, that calmness.
Mm-hmm.
So they can ebb and flow.
Yeah. So anything like fruits and vegetables that Cancer should really be getting a lot of in their diet, more than any other sign, you think?
Well, avocados, chia seeds. We talked about probiotics. So to go back to that, you have your fermented foods. Like my client likes pickles. So she makes a sandwich, she puts her pickles in and some like red onions.
Yeah, let's talk about onions and onions for a minute.
Yeah.
We keep coming back to that. And I
Yeah.
just have to tell you, I love onions. I didn't when I was a kid. And I don't know why I didn't. Maybe because how it was fixed, like, or prepared. I don't know. But one day I went from not liking onions to loving onions. I love red onions, white onions, yellow onions, sweet onions, green onions, scallions, all that. And I was reading somewhere that when you get a craving for onions, or if you want, to increase more onions, there's a nutritional reason behind that. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, because they said that the organic sulfur compounds in it, and it's good against preventing breast cancer, what they said.
Oh, okay.
And they call it's the scientific name, because I found that in my research too, about onions and garlic, so specifically onions, they call it alliums, A-L-I-U-M-S, alliums.
Mm-hmm.
So when you cook them, like when we cook them into our kale or into our spinach, it's because, again, that organic sulfur compound of it.
Oh, okay.
And when you eat raw red onions, because they say eat them raw because they're very good cleansers, red onion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So today I made this thing because I had a lot of kale and I had these mushrooms and this has been so hot and I've been freezing everything. I was like, I gotta start cooking some of this stuff out of my freezer. I'm running out of room. So this morning I got up and I sauteed garlic and green onions or scallions and mushrooms. And then I added kale and I sauteed that. And then added the cannellini or the Great Northern beans. And I made this it was really, really good. Oh, and chopped up basil. And then added, some spices and seasons. It was so good. And I was thinking about, just how filling it was and how it didn't upset my stomach or anything like that. And it just tasted really good and it was really filling. But the smell was like just the scent of the garlic and the onions and the basil. Mm-hmm. That's what even made it more appetizing. The taste was great, but it was really the smell of it. Like, I'm wondering if it's just for cancer, like that's, the sense of smell obviously is connected to the stomach because, I remember like smelling things that would make me sick. But this smell it just felt really good. I was like so excited to eat this stuff. Like I intermittently fast every day. So I don't have my first meal until like 11:30, 12 o'clock. And I'm cooking this stuff at 10 a.m. I'm like, I can't wait to eat. And I'm like, I need to, just keep drinking my fluids until, it's time. But it just smelled so good. So I'm thinking with cancer, whatever we eat and whatever we fix needs to smell good. It really needs to smell good. Otherwise, it's probably going to activate whatever it is that makes that nauseous thing happen. Like there's certain smells that just bring me a lot of comfort. Like I love the smell of pineapple. Things like that. So is pineapple good for cancer?
Yeah. So definitely, when you boil the pineapple skin, you can make like a tea or a brew of it. And it's good for the inflammation. So when you talk about the chest cavity, for my client, for her with asthma, so definitely cutting the skin off the pineapple and put it in a pot of water and boil it. Strain it, and you can put it into, drink it after that, like a tea, like I said, or you can add it to your a smoothie. So it gives it more alkaline because a lot of the antioxidants and the compounds is in the pineapple skin.
Oh, okay.
The pineapple is really good, but the pineapple skin is even better.
That's where the nutrients are.
Yeah.
So we cutting all the nutrients off. We throwing all the nutrients in the compost. when we cut all the skin off.
Or like me, I put it like in my compost in my garden, or I get it back to like this, outside in the yard, and the squirrels be like, "Thank you."
But that's after you take it and boil it and all that. But I'm saying most people just cut it off and throw it away, or they
right. And then you can. So they say, I haven't successfully tried this yet, but you can, when you cut your pineapple off, you cut it, the stem part, the big bush part.
Yeah.
You can regrow a pineapple.
Oh yeah. I've heard that too.
Yeah. I haven't tried that just yet.
Yeah, I'm not good at plants.
Yeah.
But if anybody who's listening to this, if you are good at regrowing like pieces of I tried this with the green onions last summer. I remember scallions, putting them in water and growing little shoots. That was fun.
Yeah.
But if y'all good at that, hit me up because I need tips.
Yeah, you gotta cut it at a certain angle. You gotta make sure the water is fresh that you give it. Yeah.
It's look, can I just put you in some water and just hope for the best? Because I ain't got time to be changing water. That's so bad. It's like having a pet. Yeah,
it is. It's a garden. Yeah, you gotta. Yeah.
So. Yeah. All right. So, exercise and movement for Cancer. Now, you dealt with a client who was okay with moving around, had a lot of high metabolism. So they're like, okay, I'm moving, I'm on the go. But that's not always the case with Cancer. The crab is known for moving sideways.
Yeah.
And then when they don't want to move, they don't want to move. So talk to us about the benefits of exercise and movement to address specifically the stomach problems that Cancer has the tendency to have. Why is it good to move around and help the stomach?
Well, get that food going, so you don't feel lethargic after a meal. We get that itis. And then you get that brain fog, when you have the itis, you know what I mean? So when you're moving around and rehydrating your body, you're getting that clearness, the digestion is moving around. Because if you ever notice, I've done that once or twice, you eat a big meal, which they say not to do. But I made a mistake, ate a big meal and did like a walking marathon. So along the way, you have to stop because your body, you burning that energy from that meal. So that's part of digestion, like it's steps and processes. So then, that's the last stop is elimination.
Right.
So,
I already know where you're going with that.
Yeah. So it's definitely good to not eat a heavy meal before moving around. I suggest that. Number one, before doing the exercise. So like meditation, yoga, you have swim aerobics, any of those things are definitely good for Cancer to do. Then you're around your water element. They say doing water exercise or water aerobics is, less on the joints.
Right.
So definitely good for if we can do if a client have challenges with diabetes, like trying to get some kind of movement going for them. So they have like stationary things now, chairs or exercising things that you can get some movement going for those, who are challenged.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they're definitely exercising because then you got your immune cells are regenerating on a regular basis too. Hence why, when you eat and you exercise, then the next process is elimination.
Right.
Constantly immune cells regenerating.
Right. So can I also, being an exerciser, and I concur, when you eat a light meal. Like one of the things that I would do when I was doing my morning workouts is I would just have like a banana or like just like some sips of coffee, and break my fast that way, but not eat a whole lot. And I found that I had more energy, and I also felt like it was easier for me to eliminate like my previous, night's meal or whatever. But some cancers may not be interested in fasting or anything like that. But when I went through my yoga phase, I found that I was able to eliminate easier, because they say that some of the movements or the poses ring your,
Yeah.
like you twisting and all that, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden you got to go. And it's true. It's like yoga is one, if you having trouble eliminating, just do some yoga. It will definitely help you in the area that we're talking about, in the stomach, intestinal area.
Right. And also help you reduce anxiety and stress.
Yeah. So even if you're not all that flexible, just doing some of the poses, some of the easier poses will get that stomach and intestinal thing working together, and you'll have to go. Definitely we'll go after that. So so we got cardio, light cardio, yoga, anything else? You mentioned water aerobics and stuff like that too.
Right. And you got your stationary, again, your stationary for those who are unable to, move the body more. They have like stationary tools now to help, keep those, like, again, your muscle mass, like your arms, they have those yoga blocks where you can practice lifting, your legs, again, for those who may not be as mobile. So it's just, again, making sure that you're doing some form of movement, and to be comfortable with your body, be patient with your body.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely important. And so try to get as much as you can jogging, taking a walk out in nature. That's what we do a lot. We'll do a walk out in nature. She has a dog, so that definitely helps her get out in nature and take walks and get exercise. Right. On top of, any other extra activities that she, moves around about.
Got it.
And exercise the brain too.
Yeah.
Reading, being creative, some kind of way. Molding clay. She makes, she's into right now making earrings, molding copper and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, puzzles. Her Aunt Catherine does puzzles. So like also exercising the brain.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Is there anything else that you want folks to know that that can be helpful as we continue in Cancer season? Like I said, we all have a Cancer zone in our chart, but it's especially important if you're a sun, moon, or rising individual to pay attention to your stomach issues, to your breast issues, chest cavity issues. If you've got flatulence and belching, that could be a sign that you need to make some changes. You don't want it to get worse. And all the things that Kylie talked about in terms of exercising the body, exercising the mind, finding ways to reduce stress, to create a calm atmosphere. All that is helpful for Cancer, because being ruled by the moon ain't no joke. It's like, you taking on qualities of one sign every 2.5 days. And it ultimately is up to you to figure out how to manage that. It's nobody else's responsibility. It's yours. So anything else you want mention before I jump into the last segment?
Yeah, just want to iterate, like, bottom line. Also, we did talk about what's important to all of us is making sure we get the adequate sleep. Like crabs do burrow, you know what I mean? They burrow after a while. Yeah. Then they move slowly, they take a break. So they recharge. So make sure you recharge and get adequate sleep. The most important takeaway to everybody is to remember that small action creates momentum. So baby steps, yes. Baby steps is part of that momentum. So just keep building from there. You know, again.
Moving sideways.
Yeah.
Even if it's sideways step in Cancer, just move.
Yeah. Keep moving. Because action is empowering. Action is satisfying. Action is evidence, you know.
Right.
You know, keep making these changes and, you know, little by little, you will see evidence. It takes time. You know, I also like to say, like, deep health involves, like, you know, thriving in all domains of your life, like physically and mentally, cognitively, emotionally, existentially, social, and environmentally. So you got to take care of everything. You're talking about mind, body, and spirit wellness. But so a friend of mine used to say, instead of wellness, let's talk about wholeness.
Yes. Yeah.
So again, be patient with the progress of being whole with yourself, with your diet, and the changes that you're making. Because again, it doesn't happen overnight. It's patience.
Right.
Just be patient.
Yeah. And that's a good segue into the astrological transits that Cancer can take advantage of to really enhance its own individual focus on wholeness and wellness. So I'm going to take y'all back to the new moon. The Cancer new moon was on July 9th, 2021. And that was if you took advantage of that, I don't know if you listen to this on the, replay or the live, either way, one of the things that, spiritualists will talk about in terms of new moons and, full moons, and I talk about quarter moons, last, first, etc. These are moments where you can set intentions, check in with yourselves, by the full moon, see if you've manifested what you've, around your intentions that you set. And then by the last quarter moon, prepare for that next new moon cycle, that next 2-week cycle. So July 9th was the Cancer new moon. And the Cancer sun and the Cancer moon came together and started a whole new lunar cycle. And that was a really good time to set intentions around what we're talking about. Nurturing self-care, emotional regulation, really kind of thinking deeply about our relationships with our mothers, any caregivers that have been in our lives, and broadly our families of origin, really thinking that through and setting some intentions around being better in those areas. So, by the next full moon, whatever intentions you set and whatever work you've put in at the quarter moons, you should be able to see some progress. It's a really good time for Cancer at that time, July 9th. And then on the 11th of July, Mercury entered Cancer. And, it shifted out of Gemini, where it went retrograde. It was retrograde for 3 weeks. It went backwards and it came back through Gemini. It was all this stuff happening in Gemini. And then finally Mercury said, okay, I'm done in Gemini. Time to move on to Cancer. That happened on July 11th. And that was a really good time to really identify the ways in which the mind tilts towards bias, prejudicial, emotional thinking, and communication. So in Cancer, Mercury tends to look backward at the past, at memories and family and all these different things. And a lot of our thinking is grounded in the ideas that we got from our families. And so Mercury in Cancer is a good time to kind of revisit that and think about, ways in which we can be a little bit less biased, a little less prejudicial, a little less engaging in tribalistic kind of thinking about, this is how we do it, this is how my family does it. Well, we're all a little bit less tribal, we're a little more globally connected, and you're going to come across people who do things in an entirely different way. The idea for this time while Mercury is in Cancer to think about those ways in which you are inherently biased, and kind of move away from that and be more accepting about the ways other people think and communicate. Another thing is to use that time, and Cancer leaves Mercury leaves Cancer on the 27th, so we still got a little ways to go. It's a good time to really figure out ways to improve the way we communicate our needs and our wants without emotion. And it might bring up struggles with our siblings, with our neighbors, in the ways in which we communicate. So it's a way to be more intentional and conscious about that. And just, to let y'all know, if you follow me on Instagram, I've been doing a daily post on Mercury and Cancer in my IG stories. And, you can, I think I'm going to take a cluster of those posts and put them up on the website if you've missed days 1 through 7. So I'll be posting through the end of Mercury staying Cancer, just so you can get some ideas through some quotes that I've kind of curated and put into my stories. The next transit that you should continue to take advantage of, especially if you have Cancer placements at the mid degrees of Cancer, I'm thinking 8 degrees to maybe 15 degrees Cancer. Chiron in Aries just stationed retrograde on July 15th. So that was literally a couple days ago. So Chiron in Aries will be making a tense aspect back and forth across those degrees that I mentioned, and really getting you to think about the ways that you feel wounded. And, using that time to, kind of revisit those wounds, think about all these things in the context of Mercury and Cancer, and just maybe finding one way that you can heal someone else based on the wounding that you experienced in your life. So for me, I'm committing to talking a little bit more about my past wounding. The idea with Chiron is that, you have this wound of abandonment that goes to when you were, a baby. And it's a wound that you can't heal yourself, but because you've worked on living with that wound, found ways to live with that wound, you can help other people. So there's a way to kind of communicate in a caring, nurturing way to other people using Mercury and Cancer to help with that. But just being more aware that this is a time to kind of go inward and thinking more thoughtfully about the wounding that you may have experienced that doesn't seem to want to heal. But because you've had experience with it, you can help other people. And then the last transit I want to talk about is happening right now. So since Pluto has been in Capricorn forever and a day now, seems like it's been in Capricorn since 2000 BC, but it's only been there since 2008. It has been opposing the Cancer sun every single year. So when Pluto opposes the Cancer sun, that basically tells us Pluto is halfway through its retrograde season. It's got a little bit more to go before it turns direct. But this is a really good opportunity to really revisit the ways that you engage in power struggles with other people. The ways that you may try to impose your will on other people. It's a good time to really revisit any obsessive focuses that you might have on sex and money. When you talk about Pluto anywhere, it's always going to be about sex and money. Pluto is sex, money, sex, money, sex, money, power. And in Capricorn, it's sex, money, power at the highest levels of institutional contexts like government, business, things like that. And so when you think about the Cancer Sun and Pluto in a sort of mundane general way, it's like the regular folks against the power structure. So the question becomes, okay, so how much do we want power as regular people? And what are we willing to do to get it? Are we willing to hurt other people to get it? Or are we a little bit more, can we be a little bit more mindful and careful and caring about other people? And in this best light, this is a good time to really work with other people to heal and regenerate any wounding, any sort of hurt, and work on creating harmony with other people to try to get success. So again, that aspect is happening today. It actually perfected about 15 minutes ago. So you know, I write about this on my all my social media. But again, if you have questions or want to book a private session, you can hit me up on truthseekerastrology.com. There's a link on the website that takes you to my booking site, where you can book your own session, or you can just send me an email at truthseekerastrology@gmail.com, and I will definitely work with you to get you on my calendar. So that's pretty much it for me in terms of the astrology. You know, the Cancer Sun and Pluto and Capricorn opposition happens every year, and it's going to continue to happen until Pluto leaves Capricorn and goes into Aquarius in a few years. So every year is an opportunity to say, okay, how can I change my relationship to power? How can I change my relationship with, you know, struggling for power with other people? How can I change my relationship with trying, you know, with this idea that I have to impose my will on other people? You don't have to do that. Find a way to work better with other people. It's a very important transit for Cancer, because I've seen a lot of Cancers really undergoing a lot of amazing transformation as a result. You know, a lot of Cancers that I know have decided to get well, get fit, lose weight, eat better, find their own center of power, be more, you know, hold better boundaries, all these different things, because Cancer tends to be very sensitive, tends to not really stand up for itself until it's absolutely pushed in the corner. And every year that Cancer opposes the Pluto and Capricorn transit, it's like empowering. It's very empowering, but don't take it too far, Cancer. Don't take it too far. That's you know, if anything, don't take anything too far. Everything should happen in moderation. Yes. So that is the astrology. That's it. That's all I got. So as we wrap up, Vegan Chef Kylie, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Another episode. Episode 3 is in the bag. Final shout outs, final remarks, anything that you want to leave our viewers with before we shut down?
Just again, enjoy life to the fullest. Do everything in moderation and balance, because everything is about balance. Yes, be easy with yourself. Take this time out to, again, do that self-care. Book a session with Tishka, get your natal chart done, book a session with me, that we can start getting your health, your diet changed, and do some health choice changes, you know. Again, mind, body, and wholeness. This is what it's about right now.
Mind, body, and all that. Wholeness, healing, Chiron. Use this Chiron transit to bring in a little bit more emphasis on wholeness. You know, wholeness.
Holistic wellness, right?
I mean, if no other archetype, in my opinion, represents that as Chiron. Chiron is, you know, Chiron was a centaur. He was a doctor. He was an astrologer. He was a teacher. He was wounded at a very early age. He was abandoned by his mother. His mother took a look at him and was like, oh my God, you're ugly. and she just, abandoned him. And so he was raised unconventionally. He was very smart. He was very knowledgeable. He taught so many of the mythological heroes and sheroes that we know about. And centaurs, if you know the story of the centaurs, they were wild, unruly. They got into all kinds of crazy stuff. They would drink and they would cavort and they would run around and they would snatch up women and do, all kinds of crazy stuff that folks did back in the day. We're a little bit more politically correct now, but back then they were a rowdy bunch. But Chiron was like, he was mellowed out. He was like, oh, we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't engage in that kind of stuff. And he ended up in a battle, inadvertently being stuck with a poisoned arrow. And long story short, he ended up becoming immortal because he switched his life with Prometheus, who got in trouble because he gave fire to humans. And his punishment was to be, pecked in the liver by, this is like all this brutality back in the day. And so Chiron was like, I'll take on your suffering. And, he did. And then finally he was rewarded and he became immortal. But the moral of the story is Chiron couldn't heal himself, but he helped through his sacrifice and his, his knowledge helped other people. So for me, the key is wholeness is about helping other people where you can. Even if you can't always help yourself, you can use what hurt you to help other people. And that's the name of the game for me.
Yeah.
So anyway, be well and check out the links in the description box. There are links to Kylie's, all of her social media, her website, her Cash App, all that. All the research that she did in preparation for this episode is there. All those links are there. Check those out. All my links are there. Check those out. And continue to be well. We'll be back. Episode 4, Leo season. Rawr! All the big hair, all the big fire energy that is Leo. I know y'all can't wait. Follow us on social media and we'll let you know when that is. In the meantime, peace, be well, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. All right. Bye.
Bye.